You will never want to sleep with a stranger after hearing my story, because what happened to me scarred me for my entire life. It all started on a hot summer day when I was on vacation. I was sitting on the beach in the hot sand with one of my friends until I felt my phone buzzing in my pocket. As soon as my phone started buzzing, I was ready to kind of ignore it, but I decided I would answer it anyway. So I pick it up, look at it, and it's some like random guy that I had talked to before. He was some like social media manager. So I decided I was going to just talk to him and see what he had to say. He was setting up an influencer trip with me and a bunch of other influencers. So I thought to myself, oh, that would be amazing. Going straight from vacation to this would be like a dream life. So I might as well do it, right? But he said if I wanted to go on the trip, I would have to go to the airport the same day. After about 30 minutes of convincing me, I decided I might as well do it. I don't even care. So with my beach clothes on, I look at my phone, I run back to the beach house that we were staying at, I pack all my clothes together, and I book a flight to the place that we were going to stay. Now, something I was wondering that he mentioned that I guess I didn't even think of until after I booked my airplane and everything like that is that he said we're staying in some random cabin in the woods in the middle of nowhere, which I thought was pretty weird, especially considering the fact that I'm going to be with a bunch of influencers, because usually we would go to a place like LA or maybe Miami or something like that, but for some reason now we're in the middle of the woods. After quickly packing up all my stuff and just stuffing everything into a backpack and a suitcase, my Uber ride was just about to get to my house. So I was in a rush and I was really scared of leaving things, so I didn't even think about it. I decided, whatever, I've already committed to this trip, I already got the plane, we might as well do it, right? So after packing all of my bags and everything that I had, I get in the Uber and I'm on the way to the plane. Now, one of the biggest issues that I came across is at this time I had no charge on my phone. I was sitting there on the ride to the Uber with like 10% left, no charger, because I must have left it at the beach house I was staying at or something like that. So I put my phone on airplane mode to try to save as much battery as possible and kind of just sat there in the Uber on the way to the airport. But I tried to give myself positive thoughts. I thought once I got there, this would be one of the best trips of my life, or at least that's what I thought, until everything went wrong. So I got to the airport, I barely made it on time, and I was in a rush with my backpack and my suitcase just to get on the plane, not really thinking about anything else. So I ran, got on the plane, my phone's pretty much dead at this point, and I'm just sitting there thinking. There's nothing else to do. I couldn't go on my phone because it was almost dead, and I was just sitting there waiting to get to my destination. I tried falling asleep on the plane. Because I was in one of the middle rows, I could not fall asleep no matter what, and the people next to me were taking up both of the armrests, so it was really uncomfortable. As I sit there and close my eyes, I didn't even get an ounce of sleep. I was trying, but it wouldn't work no matter what, and I think it was because I was simply just too nervous, and I think that was my brain kind of warning me for what was about to happen. The plane finally lands at the airport, and as soon as I get out, with the little amount of charge I had on my phone, it was like 5%, because when you turn your phone on airplane mode, it actually keeps it from dying for a longer period of time. So I think that's what actually saved my phone from being dead by the time I landed. So with that 5%, I knew I didn't really have much time for a call, but I decided I was going to call the people who invited me out anyway to see what they were going to say. So I call them, get on the phone, and all they tell me is they booked me a hotel and I have to get an Uber there. So with pretty much no percent on my phone, I'm like frantically typing in the Uber app trying to get to like my ride so that I can get to this hotel, and my phone, like the battery is dropping significantly because all these notifications are coming in since I just landed, because right when you turn off airplane mode, it completely like kills your battery on your phone because you get all these notifications at once. So I'm trying to type, my phone's like lagging, and you know when it gets really low how it gets like really like laggy on your phone. That's what was happening. But just in the nick of time, I'm at like 3%. I call the Uber to basically wait to get to this hotel, check in, do everything I have to do. So at this point I was terrified. I didn't know what to do because I'm in a state in the middle of nowhere by people who invited me out to visit them without really knowing much about them. I'd never seen them in real life, and I was absolutely terrified. But eventually my phone's on like 2%. The Uber pulls up and I got a sigh of relief. I thought to myself, finally I made it. But then I thought to myself, what if this Uber driver has a charger? So I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. He definitely does. So I asked the Uber driver, I'm like, hey, do you have a charger? My phone's at like 2%. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to die while I'm on this ride, because it was like a 30-minute ride to the hotel. And the Uber driver said, no, sorry, I don't, because he had like the Android charger and not an iPhone charger. So there was nothing I could do. On the way to the hotel, though, I realized that to sign in, I'm pretty sure all I had to do was show them my ID, because the people who booked my trip said they had it. But once I finally got to the hotel with my backpack and suitcase, my phone was dead at this point, so I thought there was nothing I could do, and I asked the front desk for a charger. And thankfully, they said they had one. So in that moment, I had one of the biggest sighs of relief. They asked for my ID, hand it to them, send me to my room, whatever. So now I'm in my room letting my phone charge. But that's when things started to feel a little bit more off. I realized the place that I was at looked really weird. It was some like place literally like in the middle of the woods. And I know that they said we were staying at a cabin, but even the hotel that I was at was in the middle of nowhere. And the hotel itself looked kind of weird to me, but that was whatever. So we talked to this manager guy who invited us out, and he says that all 4 of us are going to go pretty much to this cabin and spend a few days there. It was like 3 or 4 days. But after what happened, I could not stay the whole trip. I had to leave early. So as we all get in this like big Uber together, it was like some big Uber Black. We're talking to each other, and there's 4 of us, like I said. And as I'm talking to them, I realized that like a few of them were my mutuals on like TikTok or just my social media platforms. So I had seen them before, and this was like one of the only comforting things of this entire thing. So as we're sitting there, we're all kind of getting to know each other more because we all somewhat knew each other, just not in real life, as we're riding to this cabin. Once we get there, it actually looked beautiful. Like the mountains were crazy because we were in the middle of the mountains. There were trees everywhere. It looked absolutely insane. And we decide we're all just going to get out of the car, unpack our stuff, and go to the cabin. And during the day, it was actually completely fine. There was nothing wrong. It actually seemed like it was going to be an amazing trip. And that's when the manager showed up. He was saying that we were going to have stuff planned. We were going to have content to record, and we could only post it at the end of the trip. And that was one of the first weird things that I experienced the whole time. For some reason, when the manager said that, I thought, how does that make any sense at all? Why can we record content but we can't post it until the end of the trip? Like, shouldn't we be able to post whatever we want? Now, even though I was really questioning it, it seemed like the friends or the influencer people that I was with didn't seem to even care at all. I seemed to be the only person. They said I was overreacting. They calmed me down. But even after everybody tried like calming me down and saying it was normal, eventually I kind of just let it go. But in the back of my head, I was not going to forget him saying that no matter what. Now, the first night on this trip was completely fine. There didn't seem to be any issues. We explored. We did crazy stuff in the mountains, filmed content for like Snapchat and stuff the whole time we were there. But that's pretty much all we did. We just like hung out together, got to know each other more. It seemed normal. And honestly, after this point, even after the sort of weird part of us being in the middle of nowhere and the weird fact that we couldn't post anything till the end of the trip, seemed to actually be fine. But after we woke up the next morning, this is where things got a little bit more confusing. The manager woke us up with like this breakfast thing, which I thought was nice. I was never hungry in the morning, so I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna skip this. But he kept trying to like force us to eat this food. And I know it sounds really weird and it doesn't make any sense, but he kept saying, like, getting annoyed at me for not wanting to eat the breakfast. Like, I thought that it was something, like, normal. Like, some people are just not breakfast people. And when I said I didn't want to eat anything, he initially started, like, kind of joking about me with it. But eventually, he, like, fully just got, like, kind of angry. Like, he didn't even raise his voice, but I could just tell he was, like, really serious about this. And I was like, that's a little bit weird, too. Like, he's not letting us post anything. He's saying stuff like this. Like, I don't know. I just didn't really mess with that. I ended up eating like a really small amount, but I was just so uncomfortable. I was like, I need to get away from this guy. Like, what's going on? Whatever. But that's when it got even weirder. And this is the point where it drew the line. Eventually, later in the day, it was like near around sunset time for all of us. He gave us these like set of papers that was like a contract basically that we had to sign. And it was a long, like thick packet. You know, when you get those like study guides in school that you have to study, it was like one of those. And I thought to myself, why is he giving us this? Like, and this is going to take like literally hours to read. Like, I'm a slow reader myself. I don't know about you guys. It takes forever for me to like read through stuff. And this is like a thick packet. So I'm like, bro, there's no way I can read this. Like, I'm literally going to have to leave right now. Like, I don't know what to do. And he told us that like we needed to get it signed by the end of the day. And I'm like, bro, there's like no way that's happening. And that at that point, that's where I started like freaking out. I'm like, bro, we can't do this. I'm not doing this. The one guy that I had eventually made like pretty good friends with, I sat down and I told him, like, bro, there's no way that I'm going to let you sign this. Like, I can just tell this is like a really sketchy thing. I've had things like this happen to me before in the industry where people like try to take advantage of you. Like, it's just like weird. Like, what are we doing? So eventually, after discussing with my friend for a while, I convinced him that we're basically just going to leave in the middle of the night. We're going to get an Uber and get out of there. The 2 other people we were with decided they were just going to sign the contract or whatever. I was like, okay, you guys can do whatever you want. Me and my friend are getting getting out of here. So after saying that, I convinced them. I'm like, all right, bro, we're leaving in the middle of the night. I don't care what happens. This is just too weird for me. We're in the middle of nowhere, and I don't want to be with somebody I don't trust in the middle of nowhere. Now, my friend said that he had met these girls at this college campus. So after talking to him, he basically told me that we could go spend the night there. And I was like, yeah, bro, that sounds like really fun. Like, we're going to get to spend the night with like some random college girls, like whatever. That's going to be great, right? That's where it got even worse. And I can't believe I'm saying this, especially considering how bad it was at this cabin. So eventually, the middle of the night comes up, and we decide we're going to call the Uber, go to this college campus, sleep there, and fly out tomorrow, because we are not doing with this. Like, this is just too weird for us to handle. So as my friend and I are talking and all that, we thought that it was going to be like an easy thing, just like leaving. But the guy who flew us out, like the manager dude, would not go to sleep. He seemed to be like almost nocturnal. He would wake up early in the mornings, but stay up so late at night. And that was just like really freaky. So I thought to myself, like, how are we going to like get around this guy without him noticing? Like, should we just tell him? Like, what should we do? But my friend eventually convinced me. He told me, like, bro, we need to like get out of here without saying anything. Like, if this guy is truly weird, we're getting out of here. We're not saying anything. Like, we need to go. Me being the kind of nice person, I felt bad about it because I didn't know if this guy was just like awkward or if he was like genuinely a weirdo. I couldn't tell. So after a little bit of convincing, my friend basically told me, he's like, yeah, we're getting out of here. I don't care what you say. We're not telling this guy. No questions asked. You're following me. Now, this is weird because initially I was the person who said we need to go, but now he's the one telling me, like, yeah, this is like really weird. And he was even more freaked out than me. So eventually, after planning and planning, we decide that we're going to hop out the window. Now, luckily, we were on the bottom story of this house, so this wasn't even going to be much of an issue. The only problem was going to be throwing our luggage and our suitcases out without being too loud, because chances are when we go out on the porch and all that, it's going to be really loud and the guy's going to hear us leaving. We're basically going to jump out the window. So I sit there with my friend. By the way, I'll just call my friend Tim. Me and Tim are planning. We're like, all right, we're just going to run this. We're hopping out. We're leaving. No questions asked. We're not going to say anything. If the guy gets mad, so be it. We are going to put our safety over everything else. So that's what we decided we were going to do. We start throwing our stuff out the window, getting ready to dip. And we're like, all right, we're getting out of here. Like, we need to leave. So as we're throwing our stuff out, climb out the window, and it actually went pretty seamless until my friend made a large bang. He dropped his suitcase on like some metal pallet thing that was sitting out there on the deck, which was, I kid you not, one of the loudest sounds I've ever heard. It borderline sounded like a gunshot. And I looked at him straight faced, not even like in a scared way. I looked at him like, are we serious right now? Like, what are we doing? It was like kind of funny, but also that's when it snapped into my head, like, oh my gosh, if this guy hears us and he's actually a creep, like, what is he going to do? He's going to come after us. So whatever, I didn't know what was happening. As soon as he dropped it though, I looked at him weird. I laughed a little bit and I was like, wait, bro, we need to go. We literally just start running. We book it. We get to like this road. The Uber driver's there. We throw our stuff in and we leave. And at that point, we thought we were completely safe. That's what we thought, but that's not what actually was happening. We were just going to a different destination. So now as we're riding in the Uber, basically going to this college campus that was nearby, that's when we decided, like, I don't know, we were kind of talking. I was at least like happy at the moment. I'm like, bro, I felt so weird in that cabin. Like, I'm so glad we escaped. And he was looking at me kind of feeling the same way, but also like very serious. Like, he was very sketched out. And that's when we ended up at this campus. And this is where it got way more weird, okay? So it was these two girls staying in a dorm together, and they were going to let us stay with them. Now, once we pull up to the campus, my friend, I let him do all the talking because I was just trying to go to sleep. I was exhausted because I was so like on edge this entire trip, even on the plane ride and everything. I had gotten pretty much no sleep, and I thought this is the first time I'm going to feel fine. Like, I'm with people my age and not some like old dude or anything like that, so I can finally chill out, right? But when we get there, the two girls come out, and they're both insanely attractive, and I was like, bro, this is even better, right? Like, I don't know, I'm not the type of guy to like do anything like that, but like these girls were like really attractive, and I was like, I don't know, I wonder if they're gonna be nice. Now, the girl he was talking to seemed completely normal, but the girl that I was gonna have to, I guess, stay with was like, I don't know, she just seemed like a little bit off. Like, she was very, very quiet, and I was like, okay, she must be shy. Like, I don't know what it is, whatever, it's fine. So we follow them, they let us go, and we go up into their like dorm room, and I was like, okay, well, this is fine. Once we got in the dorm, I was thinking, like, this is not what I thought a college would look like, because when I graduated, I just like fully went on like doing content and everything like that. So when I saw a dorm, I was like, this is not what the movie seemed like. I thought maybe it's because we were in like the middle of nowhere at some random college campus. I didn't know, but it was very like ominous looking, like just like kind of weird. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just like, it looked like dungy. Is that even the right word? I don't even know. It just looked like odd, right? So my friend and the other girl were kind of just like talking, whatever. They had already been friends before, and me and the other girl, I'm trying to like make some level of conversation, but I literally could not. All she was doing is like subtly laughing and smiling at everything I said. She wasn't responding. She wasn't saying anything interesting. She wouldn't even ask me questions. She was kind of just sitting there giving one-word responses, being dry. And I was like, okay, you know what? I don't care. I'm just thankful that we made it out of that horrible situation that we were in. So whatever, it's totally fine. And that's when I ended up asking her, I'm like, so where am I going to sleep? Like, I'll take the floor. I'll take the couch. Like, I literally don't care. Just let me sleep somewhere. She's like, you can sleep in my bed. And I was like, okay. Like, I don't know. I saw that as like, I don't know what she was saying. I thought she was like flirting or something. I don't know what she was saying, but I was like, okay, you know what? I'm fine. I'm just going to go to sleep. I kid you not. Eventually, as soon as she said that, I jump in bed and I'm just ready to fall asleep. She's like in the other room and I'm in her bed, like just trying to go to sleep, right? And eventually I kind of dozed off because, like I said, I was absolutely exhausted until I got woken up by feeling like a shaking on the bed. And I was like, wait, what's going on here? That's when it started to get weird. She got in the bed and was facing her head basically opposite to me. So my feet were on one side, her feet were on one side. We were like opposite. And that was completely normal. But I don't know if she thought I was asleep because my eyes were kind of closed. It was dark in the room or whatever. Then I noticed she swapped sides. So instead of being opposite, she flipped to where she was on my side. And that's where I felt kind of weird. Because like I didn't know this girl. She didn't say anything to me. She honestly gave me like a kind of weird vibe of like I really don't know. And then as I'm laying there, I'm sure at this point that she thought I was asleep. She put her arm over me. And I'm like, is this girl like sleepwalking? Like, is this girl moving in her sleep, or is she like intentionally doing this? Like, what is happening right now? And I'm just sitting there thinking everything's fine. I'm like, you know what? I'm the type of person to move in my sleep. I'm sure a lot of you guys are too. It's fine. I'm just going to like let this happen. Like, I literally don't care. I'm just exhausted right now. Mind you, my flight is early morning. Like, it's not even going to be light out by the time I have to go and get on my flight. So I'm like, I'm not going to get much sleep anyway. Whatever. It's fine. But then that's when it gets even more weird. I feel this girl start like taking off her shirt next to me. Now, this is what was crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? Like, does she think I'm asleep or does she think I'm awake? Like, I don't know what's going on. She takes it off and then throws it on like the ground, and I'm like, okay, maybe she's just getting comfortable. I don't know. Now, at least she was wearing something underneath, like, thankfully, because I don't know. I was this like complete stranger, and I'm like sitting there like, okay, hopefully she doesn't like do anything else crazy, right? And that's when everything turned from like what I thought it was to even worse. After doing that, I'm like, you know what? This is kind of weird. It's kind of normal. Like, I don't know. I'm some random dude in her bed. Like, I don't know if she's trying to. I'm very, very confused at this point. But that's when she does something that I've never seen anyone do before, and this is the weirdest part of the whole thing. I see her sit up, like crisscross applesauce, like legs crossed at the end of the bed where my feet were, and at this point, she's just staring at me. She's literally just looking at me. She had just taken her shirt off, and she's just staring, not saying a word, literally doing nothing. At this point, my heart was starting to race, because I'm like, bro, like, I don't care what anyone says. I learned from a very young age, and I'm sure you guys did too. Stranger danger. Like, strangers can be dangerous, even if they're your age. Anyone, it does not matter. And I'm thinking in my head, like, oh my gosh, don't tell me I got myself in another bad situation. And I'm just sitting there, starting to act like I'm asleep. At this point, I'm wide awake, but I'm still acting like I'm asleep because I don't even know what's gonna happen. She's sitting there staring at me, or at least her head was facing towards me. It was so dark I could barely tell if her eyes were even open or anything. I was like, maybe this is her ritual. Like, maybe she's meditating. Like, I don't know what's going on. But she wouldn't stop. I'm sitting there, and I swear 5 minutes went by, 10 minutes went by, 20 minutes went by, and every time I would glance over, she's just staring at me. And I'm like tensed up, like sweating at this point, like trying to figure out like what this girl is doing. And then I hear her like saying like whispers. At this point, I'm like, okay, this is like one of the weirdest things I've ever experienced. And I have like a few more hours till I have to get up. So at this point, I'm contemplating, do I get up and leave, or do I do something? Like, what do I do? And this is where everything took a shift. She got up out of the bed, jumped on the floor, and started whispering. To this day, I have no idea what she was saying, but she was whispering over and over and over until eventually I heard my name. And that was the point where I was like, okay, this draws the line. Like, I literally don't know what to do. But then I thought to myself, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Is there anywhere I can even go to? And the answer was no. There was nowhere I could go. I'm basically stuck here. So for the rest of the night, I sit there just like hoping she doesn't do anything like really weird, because like I don't know what's happening or anything. So I'm just like, okay, It is what it is. So as I'm sweating there, it felt like every minute was going by. In an hour, it felt like time was moving so slowly because I was so nervous. But that's when I saw the sun barely come up a little bit. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're probably going to be late for the flight. So last second, the first opportunity I took, I was like, all right, I'm hopping out of this bed. I'm getting to go. She's sitting there. By the way, she got back up in her bed at the end of the bed and is sitting there. And I'm like, I start moving around, trying to like acknowledge that I'm awake. And as soon as she saw me moving at all, she lays back down, acts like she's asleep, and then starts like breathing and like not moving. So then I sit up and I'm like, hey, I like say her name and stuff, acts like she's completely asleep. I'm like, what did I just witness right now? So like I said, the first chance I could, I text my friend. I'm like, all right, let's get out of here. He's like, okay, yeah, sounds good. I asked him if he had a good time. He was like, yeah, LOL. So I don't know what happened with him. I have no idea. I'm not going to speak on him, whatever. But after that, I get up. We get ready to go out to like the plane or whatever to take our flight to go back. And in the car, in the Uber ride home, I explained what happened. And he like kind of like freaked out. And he gave me this stare that I've never seen before. His eyes were like wide open like this. And he was looking at me like, bro, you don't know what just happened. But then he like hits me and he's like, oh no, I'm just messing with you. You're probably fine. So we get on the plane, go home. And this is something that I will never forget. This stranger that I spent the night with watched me the entire night, just staring at me. And I have no idea why to this day. So if you ever think about sleeping with a stranger, maybe think twice.